marketing lead at Seven Lakes. Really excited to be here. I wanted to start off by asking, Patrick, I was looking at your slides. I had the preview of looking at it before it showed up here. And the numbers are impressive, right? To be standing on this side of the fence where you've delivered those numbers, where your users are actually using those reports, and you be able to do that impressive part. There are a lot of things that happen to get there. What was the most surprising roadblocks along the way that you had to get past, that were either technology or process or finance, whatever they may be? What do you recall having stood in your way?
Two things. One was the whole concept that the organization, I say that collectively, but primarily initial focus was operations, would trust that we were going to publish and push information to them. Engineering types and the accountant types, they love to dig into data and create their own deals and access databases. But we went in with the concept of tell us what you need, we'll go figure out where to get it, and we'll push that to you. And once we were able to do that first report, that first dashboard, they're like, oh wow, that's cool. You just saved me, like downtime analytics would literally take some of our engineers 2 weeks to develop and pull all the data. We were doing it every 2 days. They had an up-to-date downtime report. The second component is the accountants. Because when we first went down this path, they were like, there's no way in hell you're going to get an accountant to use a dashboard. We're an inertia shop, and we aren't right. We're going to use the ERP system, and by God, if it's not in that or in a spreadsheet, well, lo and behold, I think in 2014, Shiva, the accountants came to us and said, oh, we got to have a dashboard because operations is using this, and so we need to be looking at the same thing. And so major transformation of converting, if you will, accountants to using something where they didn't go create the data, they used the data. Those are the two big things.
Yeah, it's interesting for us in trying to make that transition. We started off as like a lot of small E&Ps when we first farmed, doing everything in Excel. As you get a little bit bigger, it translates into unnatural acts in Excel. And trying to get a lot of little pockets where people are still running the organization that way. And a big thing for us was the support from the tops down, that we were going to start driving the information out of databases. We were going to start trusting those reports. But as corollaries to that is getting the data cleaned up. The visibility of the data created some massive heartburn up front. Just like a lot of other E&Ps, our data is not in that great a shape in some areas, but it facilitated a much faster cleanup of that, which drove up the trust of the reports and the dashboards coming out of the systems.
A lot of it has to do with just change management, right? Getting organizations to accept the change that's required. We've seen some examples of where that's been very hard, and some examples where that's worked very well. So on the side where it's worked very well, we've had some clients that actually set up almost a shadow set of organizations and said, we're going to have some of our new processes be executed by certain types of wells, certain asset teams are going to be performing in these new business processes with certain kind of KPIs. We're going to leave the rest of the organization alone. We're going to get this up and running and working and fleshed out, and then slowly move the rest of the organization to that model. So we've seen that be a way to overcome some of those obstacles. But people are reluctant to change unless they can see a clear path to that end result. And we've seen some clients very successful in setting up those new processes and those new methods, and then transitioning the organization over to it.
I don't think there's a person in this room who doesn't want those kind of results in the organization. So why would it be most important now? What are you seeing when you're talking to clients? What are you seeing from the experience they're having with our technologies? Why now? Why is this quality around data so much more important? Or is it?
When times are good, obviously it's a little easier to not worry about these things. In a climate like this, I'd say it's extra important right now to buckle down. And we see the sort of thought leaders in this space overcoming the current market fears and actually investing right now in technologies so that they can be competitive today, and so that as the market rebounds, they're going to be able to grab even more market share.
See what solutions and services the business may be interested in. Given that the climate right now is a lot different than it was a year ago, what are you seeing that's different? What is the main focus of the business? Is it production optimization? Is it looking at any sort of capital spend? What are you guys seeing internally?
It's a slow year for us. just like at home, if you have a spouse loses a job, you tighten up the purse strings, you live within cash flow. We're doing the same thing. Engineers that have some extra free time on their hands. So what we're doing is taking advantage of this time to really hone in and refine our processes. So we've kind of grown up as a company. The company started back in '07, and up until this last year, we've pretty much doubled in size every year. We went from a leasehold operations and strategy to pad development. Very, very complicated operations, and this really gives us time as we've dropped back our drilling rig program to go off and focus on doing those right.
We're now trying to set that governance process in now that says, we realize all these things are important. However, what are the ones that have the big bottom line impact? Or what are the processes that are currently, jacking our systems up and making us make bad decisions, and getting those fixed now, and with the limited resources that we have. So it's really all about resource optimization for us right now. Not just in IT, but throughout the organization.
Plan, or if you will, marketing plan within the company to try to make that happen? Can you kind of share how you made that happen from a managerial perspective?
It's a byproduct of a rapid growth. Several years ago, a much smaller organization, somebody had this silo of data. That was an asset. Our CEO could go in there, and I want to know what the rig line plan is, or I want to know what we're doing it this well or that well. And one go-to person had that silo of information, a tremendous asset. But as you grow, more and more people rely on that data, and that asset's now turned into a considerable liability. So what we're essentially doing is kind of an underground search and destroy, finding these pockets of silos of data that are out there, and trying to find ways of optimizing that, getting it back into a database where their users can use it, and optimize the process to cut down the amount of time and provide better data.
The ideating concept that an accountant or an engineer is going to be in an organization for 25 years and continue to develop that spreadsheet, that's not the world we live in. We live in a very dynamic, people are staying at a job. So the last thing we need to do is have all these very, pivoted table, blown out spreadsheets and special applications, and then when that person leaves, it's like, does anybody know how to use that? No, and you're screwed. So it helps promote from the top level down. We need to be smart about how we run our business so that we're not stuck where we're relying on that one person who's got that special skill set that we can't live without.
Down the silos, because you could, in $100 barrel oil, you could afford potentially to have your own silo of information. You could afford to have your own copy in your pivot table, but in today's environment, you just can't. You got to break those silos down, and it starts with looking at the life cycle of data as it goes through an organization, right? Think about a well. It's born way early in the process. Somebody is one of the chief scientists is coming up with a new basin to go explore, and they're creating data, and they're outlining how they want to go and invest in a new property. That's the first step in an organization starting to realize, I'm not in this alone in my own functional department. I'm part of a broader community, and I'm only playing a particular role, and here's my handoff. So that event-based data lifecycle is an important element of attacking data and getting the data to a point where it could be consumed in a manner that everybody can trust.
Move on to the next, because now there's only one more person standing between you and Deere, and that's Brett. So
Brett's our Chief Technology Officer. He's also one of our authors of our Well Lifecycle Manager application. Founded in '09, a little over 60 employees today and growing rapidly. 4 offices, 3 here in the U.S., as well as some development in India. And we raised $20 million earlier this year, which is being funneled into these products to accelerate the pace and to drive even more value. What I wanted to leave you with is, at the end of the day, Seven Lakes, we're really data guys and girls. We dig, we gather, we build, we scrub, we sync, and we visualize it to give you the most actionable, the most integrated, and the most intuitive consumer-like technology experience possible. All of this, like we said at the beginning, so that you can focus on squeezing operational value out of every one of your assets. We've worked with many companies already, and we look forward to talking to you further and to bringing these solutions to your company soon. And we thank you very much for coming today.
We're going to have some stations for some demonstrations of some of the applications that Brett was talking about today, and feel free to mingle. Y'all can stop being quiet now, too.